So I'm still in the boot, but I can work a little bit, so I'm going to start on the rigs. Now, you can buy a rig or you can build a rig. They seem to be the two main options. The beauty of buying one is it turns up in a box, an hour, you put it together and you play. The downside on that is that you have to put the stuff where the person decides. I watched a video of a guy with a built rig that he built, and it came as a kit, put it together, and the gear shift was beyond the steering wheel. I want the gear shift exactly where I want it. Same with the handbrake. I want the handbrake where I don't want the handbrake down there like a normal car. I want it like a rally car up there. So I'm going to make my own. Now, you got options on plastic waste pipe, which some people use. I've used plastic waste pipe for plumbing 32 years. I've never built a rig from it. Timber's popular. Timber's easy. Timber's quick and it's strong. But it's not as strong as steel. The downside with steel is it takes forever to cut, clean, weld, and then clean it again, then paint it. But this is 16 gauge steel, so it's nice and thin, lightweight, it's not crazy heavy, it's not stupidly expensive. But one of the bonuses, other than the strength, is the amount of room inside, which is where all my wiring is going to run inside. So as I get into making the thing, welding it together, I'm going to be running steel cables through, and they'll be my fishing lines. So at the end, I can tie all my wires on and then pull them through where I want them. I want to build the rig for an arcade cabinet. It's not like a hardcore sim racing thing. It's for arcade games. You can use a pair of Xboxes. I'm going to have two side by side, link them together, pair of TVs. I want each rig to be complete standalone with a TV mount, everything all on the one rig. Steering wheel and pedals will be fixed. The steering wheel will be fixed, but the seat will slide back and forward, pedals will slide back and forward. I can't find that on a rig I can buy. There was a video I watched of a guy that had, a pre-built rig thing, and he built this kit. He bought this kit and built it like $1,000. And when he shifts, you can see the shifter moving. The whole thing moves. I don't want that. If you're convinced that your wooden rig is as strong as a steel rig, ask yourself, how many times have you seen a wooden roll cage? They don't make roll cages from wood. Steel is a lot stronger. I can weld. If I couldn't weld, I would go the wooden route. In terms of assembly time, this is probably going to take me, I would guess, 50, 60 hours per rig. You'll see why I want to get there at the end. Also, the reason why I'm making my own rig is I don't want to sit on the floor. So many of these cheaper rigs, the seat is on the floor. I'm nearly 50. I got friends here that are Vietnam vets. I'm here in America, and they want to come over, and they're in their 70s. They don't want to be getting on and off the floor. The other thing is, a lot of these rigs got a maximum weight, 220 pounds. Some of my mates are 300, 350 pounds. I want them to be able to play as well. So my seat will end up, my floor of my rig will end up a foot off the ground, 12 inches, and then the seat will end up 2 foot off the ground. So the same as an SUV, and I want to make it so I can sit down like an SUV and swing my legs in. Someone asked me why I don't just buy a two-seater arcade racing cabinet. Well, most of those are weak frames, and then they've got a ton of plastic on them. I want mine to be able to go in and out a 32-inch door in case I ever need to move. And by the time I've taken off the steering wheel and the pedals and everything that only work with that one particular game, and then put a new monitor in there, a new TV, and then put the Xboxes in and all the stuff to make it, it's pointless. You're buying $1,000 for something which is you're going to scrap most of it. That's if you can get one for $1,000. So yes, I'm going to start cutting mild steel. So it's 16 gauge, nice lightweight, 2x2 box. Everything you get well, I refer to my hot glue gun. It's actually a MIG welder, but if I say hot glue gun, people get really upset. So I like saying it. They're like, well, it won't be very strong if you glue it together. We're going to MIG weld it. So yeah, it's going to be a long process. I'm going to get the whole frame made first, and then make the pedals box, so the pedal box can slide back and forward. I'm going to make the right hand rig completely, and then I'm going to start on the left hand rig. And eventually what will happen is the two rigs will go side by side with a gap in the middle, and then there'll be a framework that bolts. So eventually the whole thing will be in a U shape, and you'll enter from the middle and either sit left or sit right. It'll make sense as we go along. It is pouring down out there. So far I've made essentially a ladder frame. So this is the end where the seats go, and I'm going to have two posts coming off of the back for an angle. This will all make sense in time. Some cross bracing. That's just really to stiffen it up. Because it's 16 gauge. If I'd used 11 gauge I wouldn't have bothered, but it can't hurt to have it in there. And then this end's left open because I'm not quite sure yet how long I need to make this. This will get chopped off, so I made it longer so I can cut it back. So the first thing is to work out my parameters is get the seat on there. So this is going to be a foot off the ground. So the top edge of this is 12 inches, and then my seat needs to come up another foot. So I need to work out how much the runners are on, make up 2 hoops, weld them on, piece of cross bracing, then the seat can slide back and forward, and then I'll have one upright off there, one upright off there. So next up is draw the holes in here for the cables to run up for the speakers. Speakers are going up by my head. And then I've got to fabricate the pedal box, work out where the pedal box is going. Eventually I'm going to then weld on, come out the side and come up for the gear shift, the handbrake, and the steering frame will come up here. But all of the side remains open so people can swing their legs in and out. So all this will come up. You'll see what I mean by the time I'm finished, but it would be impossible to make this from timber and have the same strength. So yeah, so far I'm what, hour and a half in. That's trouble with steel work. It's filthy dirty, it's smelly, it's horrible. But yeah, once this is all done, this is really gonna, last forever. And one of my mates in England said to me, "You're an idiot if you think you can make something better than you can buy it." Well, let's find out, shall we? Once both rigs are completely finished, it'll be a few months yet, but both rigs are completely finished and bolted together, someone point me in the direction where I could have bought that, because what I'm building I can't find anywhere. So yeah, ladder frame stage 1. So I've got my ladder frame, and I've knocked up these 2 U-shapes, and these are going to get welded on like that so that the seat can get mounted on there, and I can have an angled back coming off, which will make sense in the future. Now, a lot of rigs that they sell that are just come in a kit form, there's nowhere near that distance of the seat off the floor or off the pedal base. 2 reasons. One is to make it easier for older people to get on and off. I say I'm building an arcade rig, not a Formula 1 rig. I know this is more like a Range Rover or an SUV style seating position rather than Formula 1. That's fine, suits my needs. It also means that because of that bend in your legs, this rail can be shorter, and I'm confined on space. How much room I've got, I'm limited. So I actually want to make this as small as I can so that the frame can tote right up against the wall in the arcade and leaves me a walkway at the back. So the next job is bring a seat round, wash my hands first so I don't get the seat filthy, and then put the seat on top, work out where these need to go, burn these on, and then I might even put a brace in there somewhere. I can't see he's going to need it, and then the seat can get bolted on. A friend of mine in England took his car to someone in Northern Ireland, wanted some Audi seats fitting in an MG, and the guy just welded the seat in place in the car. Don't ever do that. Make it so you can unbolt these so the seat can get unbolted, because eventually when this is all finished, the whole thing gets stripped, primed, painted, and then everything can get bolted back on. Seat ever gets ripped or damaged, I can unbolt the seat and put a new seat on. So these 2 rails are the right distance apart for the seat. So the seat will actually overhang this frame. That's not a problem. You'll see where I'm going as we progress. So one advantage with steel over timber is I've just tack welded the legs on. I want both rigs to be on wheels, and then these are leveling casters, so I can wind the puck down so the wheels don't touch the floor. The thing will be completely level. So is this too high? Yes. Yes it is. It's too high, but you can see how short I can make it with my pedals. So my pedals are going to be here. It's more like an SUV kind of ride height. I think I need to lower the seat probably 2 inches, but I might just take the legs back off and lower the legs so that it isn't quite as hard to get in and out of the seat. I say this is hardly Formula 1 kind of style, that's like led down. I wanted something which was more like an SUV. My legs will be able to swing in and out on the side. There won't be anything this side. I don't want one of them poles down the middle like some rigs have. Everything will come up the side. Steering will be mounted there. Pedal box will move back and forward. And then the TV, 43-inch TV there'll be a frame coming up, and that'll mount the TV. So this will be completely rollable. This will go through a 36-inch door, and eventually this will bolt next to the other one I make with a gap in the middle, a spacer in the middle. It will all become clear. There will be a floor going in here, and I say, and the pedal box will slide back and forward. But I just need to make this so that it's more like, SUV style driving rather than Formula 1. But the seat slides back and forward. So I've got plenty of options on the seat, and then there'll be 2 poles coming up the back, and eventually there'll be a speaker either side of my head. There's a bass shaker in the seat, and that clears the frame as well. So I decided before I quit, I'd cut the legs back off and I'd add, retract, deduct 4 inches from the height. So this is what we've got now. And the seat is the perfect height. What I did was I just welded a nut on top of the frame for each of the seat mounts, so that the seat is now bolted down. And press the handle and the seat slides back and forward. Pedal box to go in, and I say it'd be like a SUV, which means I can make all of this shorter. So I'm hoping I can reduce that and move it this way. Just chop this off the end, push the whole thing forward. So next job then is to drill a hole in there to run the speaker wires up. There'll be some steel posts coming up the back that will get body work, and then there'll be a speaker there, a speaker there. Now admittedly, when you move the seat forward, kids or whatever, the speaker won't be right by their ears, but I ain't a kid and I'm building it for me. I am building it so small people can drive it as well, but I ain't so worried about that. So the bass shaker is like that one, is mounted directly to the seat. So the next job then is to come off the side and come up and then build the platform for the steering wheel to go on, and then build the pedal box. And then once the pedal box is on, and I've got another set of seat runners to go on there, I can work out how much needs to be cut off of here. Then there'll be a vertical post, and they'll come forward and then up again. So they'll give me a shelf to put the Xbox on, and then they'll give me a TV mount so I can move the TV back and forward. I say there is going to be some body work, so there is going to be a floor going in there, and then there will be a gap in between these machines, so you can walk in here and saddle and go on there, and that gear shifter will be on that side, and then this one will be the other way around with the gear shifter. So that'll be the English side, this will be the American side. And I'm trying to make it so that there's a gap in here, because this pinball's worth about $8,000. And I'm trying to get it so people don't, shift and smash around into the artwork on the side of this pinball. This race seat and that race seat, or this rig and that rig, are going to get cup holders. I got cup holders on an $8,000 pinball. Why would I not put cup holders on a homemade Xbox, arcade game? So I got cup holders on the rest of my pinballs. I got cup holders to go back on this 4-player cabinet. But yeah, you kind of get the idea. But I'm hoping that is going to move that way a little bit, just so that when people walk in, they don't smash their ankles on this. Again, this is going to get body work around it. It will make sense in time. But yeah, once I've made this one, then I'll make this one. But this one will be completed. My plan is to get it 100% complete first.